Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu ma vitvishavahay. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We'll chant from verses 11 to 15 of chapter 3. Devan bhavayatanena,
Devan bhavayatanena,
te deva bhavayantu vaha,
te deva bhavayantu vaha,
parasparam bhavayantaha,
parasparam bhavayantaha,
Shreyah paramavapsyatha,
Shreyah paramavapsyatha,
Ishtan bhogan hi vo devaha,
Ishtan bhogan hi vo devaha,
dasyante yajna bhavitaha,
dasyante yajna bhavitaha,
taidattana pradayaibhyaha,
तैर्दत्तान प्रदायैभ्यः
yo bhunkte stena eva saha,
यो भुङ्क्तेस्तेन एव सः
yajnashishtashinah santaha,
यज्ञशिष्टाशिनः सन्तः
मुच्यन्ते सर्वकिल्बिषैः,
मुच्यन्ते सर्वकिल्बिषैः
भुञ्जते ते त्वघं पापाः,
भुञ्जते ते त्वघं पापाः
ये पचन्त्यात्मकारणात्,
ये पचन्त्यात्मकारणात्
अन्नाद्भवन्ति भूतानि,
अन्नाद्भवन्ति भूतानि
Parjanyadanna sambhavah.
Parjanyadanna sambhavah.
Yajnāt bhavati parjanyah.
Yajnāt bhavati parjanyah.
Yajnah karma samudbhavah.
Yajnah karma samudbhavah.
Karma brahmodbhavam viddhi.
Karma brahmodbhavam viddhi.
Brahmakshara samudbhavam.
Brahmakshara samudbhavam.
Tasmat sarvagatam brahma.
Tasmat sarvagatam brahma.
Nityam yajne pratishtitam.
Nityam yajne pratishtitam.
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So in the last session, we have just entered into verse number 13. The line of thought in verse number 13 is a direct continuation of the previous verse. That is the last line of the previous verse. In verse number 12, he talked about the tamasic approach. Tamasic approach towards this principle of parasparam, give and take. Now in this verse, verse number 13, he is talking about the rajasic approach and the sattvic approach. Actually, throughout the Bhagavad Gita, you will find that anything which he takes up, he will be classifying that into tamas, rajas and sattva. In the 18th chapter, he directly does that. He says who is a tamasic actor, who is a rajasic actor, sattvic actor. Similarly, action, tamasic, rajasic and sattvic. Happiness also. What kind of happiness is tamasic? What kind of happiness is rajasic? And what kind of happiness is sattvic? So he'll be directly dividing, and in one more chapter, I think chapter 17 or so, again he'll be talking about gifts. What is a sattvic gift, rajasic gift, tamasic gift? Now that is those are areas where he is directly getting into the division. But even otherwise, throughout the Bhagavad Gita, you will find that whether he mentions it or not, it is the same principle he will be using. It is not only the Bhagavad Gita. If you take the Upanishads, if you take all the other scriptures, they always follow this pattern. If they want to give a comprehensive understanding of some principle or some approach, they will immediately get into three types of approaches. Sometimes they may explicitly mention it as tamas, rajas, sattva. Sometimes they may not. For example, here he is not mentioned directly as tamas, rajas, sattva. But if you just probe a little bit, you will see that that's what he's talking about. Now, why is that? The reason is, everything in life can be divided into these three: tamas, rajas and sattva. Actually, I would say this principle of tamas, rajas and sattva is one of the greatest contributions by our ancient rishis. I have not found this anywhere else. We can say this is one of the specialities, something unique. No? It's a unique contribution. If you take the whole world, we can divide it into tamas, rajas, sattva. See, first of all, tamas, rajas and sattva are adjectival words. They are like adjectives. They only qualify. Now, the rules will keep changing. See, for example, if we say good or bad, now we cannot exactly define it, because within the goodness itself there will be grades of goodness, which means there also you can say this is relatively bad, that is more good. So it's the same thing with tamas, rajas and sattva also. Supposing you take sattva itself, there will be a minimum and maximum limit. I am only analyzing it like this so that it makes it easy for you. So this will be less sattvic, then more sattvic. So the moment we say less sattvic, it means we are saying it is either rajasic or tamasic. So this is a classification based on gunas, qualities. It is extremely useful. This wisdom of tamas, rajas and sattva is extremely useful to understand life and to to gain clarity about the world and about oneself. So tamas basically is the lowest quality. Tamas literally means something which is dark, ignorance, sleep. Now laziness. All associated qualities you can bring in. Anything done out of ignorance is tamas. That is where you can put in effort, but you are not putting in effort. See, when we say anything done out of ignorance, sometimes due to genuinely due to lack of facts, you may make a mistake. Immediately we can't say you are tamasic. Where it is possible for you to gain facts, where it is possible for you to know, but you don't put in that effort to get that information, then we say that is tamasic. So tamas is the lowest stage. Then we have rajas. Rajas is passion, activity. Tamas is inaction. Stress. A rajasic person will be highly stressed. Being showy, gaudy. All these things are rajasic qualities. See, it's very difficult to briefly explain it. That's what I'm doing, so that it will help you to get the deeper messages of these verses. But as we go along, whenever he is bringing in this principle, we will be looking into that. There are so many facets to this. And then the third, which is the highest guna, is sattva guna. Sattva means purity. It means purity, clarity, calmness. See, if tamas is sleep, it is not calmness. Tamas is numbness. You are not feeling anything at all. That's why we say it is sleep, darkness. Then sattva is exactly opposite. It is light. It is calmness. You are feeling but you are not affected. You are not toppled over. Rajas is your feeling but you get so affected and you become so restless. That is rajas. Sattva is trance activity. See, if tamas is inaction, rajas is activity, sattva is trance activity. Trance activity means activity is there, but it is effortless, it is smooth. That action does not cause any stress. See, sometimes you will find people doing so much of activity, but you will not even come to know that they are doing so much. They will do it in a very smooth way. Whereas some people, even one small activity they do, they will make a big show of it. Oh, I am doing it, I am doing it. Even that I, when the kartritva bhavana is pronounced, that is rajas. Kartritva bhavana means I am the doer. You always want to establish yourself. So sattva is also devotion to the higher. We can go on listing down so many things, but you have to get a basic idea of that. That is more than enough. And then when the context comes and he'll be telling you the application of this principle of sattva, rajas, tamas, when you keep seeing various applications, your understanding of sattva, rajas and tamas will deepen. This is how we have to study these verses. The yogic approach, this is how we do it. Incidentally, this is how they do it in mathematics also. See, when the theorems are given, you basically understand the theorem, but your understanding will not be 100% complete. But when the riders are given, you apply those theorems in the various riders, the various problems, different problems are given to you, and you apply this and see, and you solve the problem. That is when your understanding of the fundamental theorem will become more deep. So, when we saw, and even in the previous verse, we saw stena, for example, and I also was giving you, the sadhana tips also. Now, you will basically understand. But when you actually apply these things in the riders of your life, in the various experiences, various aspects of life, that is when the wisdom will deepen. See, sometimes certain principles will change. The principle will not change, the application will change radically according to the situation. I've given you this example, no? It's a real incident. Long time back, two people came to meet me, two youngsters. So the first one came in. Actually, one of my students was sitting there, and she asked me, "Sir, can I just be here? It will be a good learning experience for me." I said, "Okay, as long as it's not too personal for them, it's okay." So when the first person came, we asked, "Is it okay if she's here?" And he said, "Okay." He was quite comfortable with that. So she was writing down the notes, whatever advice I was giving them. So as a sadhana, what I told the first person was, you should cut down on partying. See, they had already sent their problems earlier. The email and all had just then come, so they sent it through the, literally they used to write letters. I'm talking of many years back. Must be 25, 30 years back. So if somebody had to write imagine nowadays you're just sending the questions by mail. Amazing how the technology has advanced. Earlier, if somebody had to send a question, they have to write and then post it. And then I may give appointments to answer the question, or in the live class only, in the live session, they may get answers. So you're all very lucky. We should thank the technology, So they just came in and I gave them the instructions. You follow this for about 2-3 months and then get back to me. So what I told the first person was, you cut down on partying, you spend more time with yourself, you talk less, practice talking less, practice listening. Do the sadhana every day. That is, of course, a common thing for everyone. So like this, I had given various principles. So she noted down. And then after that, the second person came in. And the advice which I gave him was, you go out and meet more people. Go out and attend parties. At least once a week or twice a week, you go for some party with your friends. Talk more. Express yourself more. Like this. And of course, do the sadhana every day. Now, she wrote that also. So after they went away, she was sitting with both the notes, and she had a very confused expression. So I said, what happened? She said, sir, I'm totally confused. Both of them came for spiritual advice. They wanted some tips to grow spiritually. Now, to one person you're saying go for parties, talk more and all that. And to another person earlier you said cut down on parties, talk less. They are two opposite things. So can you explain? So then I explained to her, see, the first person who came, he was a natural extrovert. He was on the other extreme. See, spirituality is being balanced, being in the middle. So a master only looks at where you are, and he gives you methods by which you can get back to balance, that middle path, So he was in this extreme. He was over partying, he was too much of an extrovert, and he never used to listen. He was always what we call as over talkative, highly rajasic, So if he has to get to balance, now what are the things which he need to practice? If he has to get to the middle, he has to cut down on parties, he has to spend some time alone, start developing the habit of listening more. That's what will bring him to the center. Whereas the second person who came, I asked her, did you notice his body language? Did you notice anything different? Now, she didn't notice anything. She said no. I said, see, the second boy who came, he didn't even look into my eyes and speak. He was always looking down. Did you notice that? She said, I didn't notice. I said, you have to. See, you have to become very observant, A good sadhak is one who observes everything. Because it is only by observing that you can learn, you can understand. Even if you want to understand someone properly, you need to first learn to observe that person. How that person is behaving, what is the body language, how that person is feeling. See, the correlation you will not be able to do straight away. That takes a lot of practice and you have to gain the clarity. But first, if you don't even observe, how can you get that clarity? So I said, this boy lacked confidence. He was too much of an introvert. See, if this is the middle, that boy was on the other extreme. This boy was at this extreme. He was so shy. He never spoke much. He never used to speak much. Always, quiet and feeling so shy to talk to people. What is interesting is he was afraid to even attend phone calls. He used to get worked up to attend, when he had to attend phone calls also. Very hesitant. So if he has to come to the center, if he has to develop spiritually, he is in a state of tamas. So we have to inject some rajas. Only then he can start moving forward. So I told him, minimum 1 or 2 parties a week. That was only for 3 months. Once he gets back the balance, then we have to see what schedule will be suitable. Talk more, express yourself more. That was the main thing. Don't hesitate to express. So, what is the principle here? The principle here is to be in the center, be centered, be in the middle path. But the applications are too different. They look totally different. For the first boy also, the principle was the same, being centered. For the second boy also, the principle was the same, being centered. But the application was totally different. So it is when you apply the principle in various situations that you can get a deeper understanding of that principle. When it comes to the principles, it is very easy. See, even that is difficult. You require the guru to use the yogic approach to eke out the principles and give you. Otherwise, if you just read the books and all that, beyond a point, you cannot get that deep wisdom. But that is relatively easy. That is only the first step, we can say. But when it comes to application, it will vary. The application of principles can be taught only by a guru. You can also learn by yourself, but by making a lot of mistakes, trial and error, you will learn. But when you take the guidance of a guru practically, in certain situations he'll tell you this, like suddenly he'll say, you should earn more money. Now you may wonder why is he saying that. He may find that there is a tamasic aspect in you. You're not putting in that effort. So straight away to move to sattva will be difficult. So he may ask you to do certain things which may not be conventionally considered as spiritual, but that will take you to spirituality. For example, if you take all the points which I told first boy in that incident, I am asking him to go to more parties. So you can't make it a rule. Attending more parties will make you spiritual. Can we say like that? No. It looks like the opposite, but that's what will bring him to the center. So principles themselves are very difficult for you to get from books, and whether the book is in a paper format or whether it is in the e-format and all that, it does not matter. In the internet search and all that, you would only get some information, that's all. But to use the yogic approach, penetrate and to get the higher principles, for that you require a yogi. Artificial intelligence cannot be a yogi because today the trend is, if I want to know something, let me just do some internet search and get it. It's the same approach is being done even for spirituality. What will you get? Just some information in bits and pieces here and there. If you want, you can download the entire Vedas also, no? You download the Bhagavad Gita and read it. So, we are studying the Bhagavad Gita, no? See what amount of depth we are getting into. That yogic approach, you can never get it through external sources. But after that, when it comes to practical application, that is a real challenge. So according to the context, it will keep on changing. So at one point of time, a guru may tell the student, you take some rest. Some other point will say, don't rest at all. Go all out and work. It all depends upon the context. So there we require a subtle understanding of the deeper principles. So when we are studying all this, whether it is yajna or parasparam is again a very powerful principle. So as we are studying this, we are using the yogic approach and a deep insight is given to you. The sadhana tips are given to you. But when you actually practice it in your life and see, you will definitely make a lot of mistakes initially. That's okay. But you will find that your understanding of that is the theoretical understanding is not complete. And then when you take guidance from the guru, supposing you have an issue and you approach, the insights which he'll give, the clarity which he will lend will be so surprising. Oh, we can look at it this way also. So a master is like a master chess player, let us say. Now, if all the facts are given, he'll be able to tell you which is the correct move to be made. But in the game of chess, there are many rules, but many a times the rules are broken. Rules are broken in the sense they don't go out of the rules. I'm saying the conventional methods are broken. sometimes they sacrifice a very valuable piece, like the queen in the chess game. But that is in order to win the game. So how are you going to get that? How are you going to master those aspects, the subtle aspects? It is only by application. So theorem is one thing, riders are the next, and the professor helps you to apply various problems, and through that only the knowledge of that theorem will deepen for you. It's the same principle in spirituality. So when we talk of tamas, rajas and sattva, a general idea you will get. But when he is applying it in different contexts, like for example here the application is with respect to parasparam, elsewhere it will be something else. Directly with respect to action itself, he will talk about tamas, rajas and sattva. What is interesting is sometimes for one person, one action will be tamasic, but the same thing will be rajasic for another person, or even sattvic. I told you, for example, take rest. For a person who is lazy, taking rest is tamasic because he is already lazy. He is taking too much of rest. Whereas for a person who is rajasic, who is not at all taking rest, who is constantly acting, taking rest is a sattvic principle. So the principle is itself very difficult to master, but it's not impossible. But when it comes to applications, it becomes more subtle. So this is a great opportunity for you. That's why I gave you just a minimum background of what tamas, rajas and sattva are. That is more than enough. Now we are seeing the applications. So whenever an application comes, we are going back and seeing the root principle. Like in Stenaha, the root principle was tamas with respect to parasparam. So that we saw. It will deepen your wisdom. But just those points alone are not tamas. You cannot confine it like that. According to the context, it will keep changing. See, without all this deep, without this deep wisdom, that is the depth in wisdom, people just superficially study the Bhagavad Gita and then they say, oh, I have read the Bhagavad Gita. I know what Bhagavad Gita is. There are many people who say that. But real yogis who go into the depth of all that, they don't claim they know. They say, I am still learning only. Because you can see, how deep it is. Life itself is a mystery, Every second we can keep on learning, So, in the previous verse, we saw the tamasic approach towards give and take. Here, in verse number 13, he is giving the rajasic approach and the sattvic approach. So, what is he saying here? Yajna shishtashinah santah. Those who eat the remnants of sacrifice. Who are those people? He is calling them as santah, the virtuous people. Sant means commonly translated as sage or saint. Because they are rhyming sant, saint, they are translating it. But we'll see when we go into the depth what exactly sant means. So the virtuous who eat the remnants of sacrifice, muchyante sarvakilbishaihi. Muchyante means are freed. Salva kilbishaihi, sarvaihi kilbishaihi means of all faults. Means they get completely purified. So this is a reference to sattvic approach. So when you develop the sattvic approach, what is he saying? You will be cleansed completely. You will be purified. It will cause tremendous self-purification, which is what we want, no? So that is the first line. And then in the second line, he says, Bhunjate te tvagam papa, papaha. Bhunjate te tu agham papaha. I'm only splitting and giving it to you. Even though this is not a class where the Sanskritam language is being learned, here and there when I split up and tell you and all that, you will start understanding it intuitively. See, now to sit and learn, master the Sanskritam language, that itself will take many years. And then I will come to Bhagavad Gita, means your life will be over. So we have to be practical. And anyway, the Sanskritam language will only help you to understand the basic meaning, the basic translation. But thereafter it is a yogic approach which is going to help you to go deeper. Just because a person is scholar in the language part doesn't mean his wisdom will be deep. He may just be a pandit or a scholar. The scholastic knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita is different. The yogic approach is something totally different. Because some people do raise this question, here and there I get this question, sir, do we need to master the Sanskritam language? Not required. A basic understanding anyway you will get as we are studying. So, agham means impure. So, bhunjate te tu agham papaha ye pachanti atma karanat. Pachantyatma karanat. That's a sandhi, the joining. So, we are splitting it up. Pachanti atma karanat. Even atma karanat, we can see the derivation. Atmanah karanat means for the sake of themselves. So, those impure ones who cook for the sake of themselves, atma karanat, what do they eat? Bhunjate means eating or enjoying. Sin, papaha. See, this is a very poetic way of putting it. How can you eat sin? Don't ask such questions. This is just a poetic way of saying that the impure ones, they have a wrong approach, as a result of which they acquire a lot of papaha. Now, what exactly is papaha, what exactly is that wrong approach, all that we will be seeing. So, the second line is a reference to rajas. So, if the last line of verse number 12, stenaha, that was a reference to tamas. The second line here is rajas. The first line here is sattva. So, what we will be doing is, we will be taking up the second line first while studying this, and then we will see what sattvas. First because that will make it even more easy for you to understand. We have already seen tamas, now we will be seeing rajas, and then we will go to sattva. Now, why has he interchanged and put? That is also very interesting. See, apart from the direct messages of the Bhagavad Gita, when you use the yogic approach, you also get a lot of psychological tips. How Krishna communicated to Arjuna, how he handled Arjuna. how he studied Arjuna's mind and then conformed this wisdom so that it will appeal to Arjuna. What are the various psychological methods he used so that Arjuna could absorb this wisdom? That also we can see. Actually, a book itself can be written on that, the psychology of the Bhagavad Gita, using the yogic approach. It will be very useful for people in terms of how to relate to people. Because Krishna was a master communicator. So what happens is, when you communicate something to someone, sometimes that person is very receptive. Sometimes that person is not at all receptive, very restless. When I say receptive, that person is patient, quite calm. But there are times where that person is highly restless. Depending on that, you need to change the mode of communication or the psychology of communication. The content which you are going to give is the same, but the packaging has to be different. For example, in chapter 2, now Arjuna had spoken for the entire chapter 1, and then in chapter 2 also, first several verses he kept speaking. He was in a highly restless frame of mind. He was frustrated, he was crying. He was not in a calm state. So when a person is going through that kind of a mood, what is the psychology which Krishna used? For example, he was talking about the soul to Arjuna. He was trying to say that the soul is indestructible. It is only the body which gets destroyed. Now, how to communicate that to Arjuna, who is in a restless frame of mind? He is very impatient. If you keep telling him, you have what is called as Jivatma, you have what is called as Paramatma. Now, he is so restless, he will not be able to listen to all that. So, in order to catch Arjuna's attention, Krishna uses a superb psychological tool, He talks in terms of Arjuna's language or Arjuna's understanding directly. Arjuna was a Kshatriya. He was a warrior. All he knew was weapons and all this. That's what he knew. So, when Krishna described the soul, he immediately said, weapons cannot cleave it. Immediately Arjuna's mind would have become very alert, because that language he can immediately understand. He didn't go into the depth of the soul straight away. That's why we say Krishna was a master psychologist also. Psychology is an integral aspect of yoga. Every master, true master, is also a psychologist, because what is psychology? Psyche, study of the mind, psyche. Now, what is yoga? Yoga is also nothing but studying the mind, purifying it, and then going beyond the mind. It's a further extension of psychology, we can say. So there, Krishna directly gave it from Arjuna's angle. But here, Krishna is not doing that. He first talks about tamas, then in this verse, the first line he talks about sattva, and then finally he is giving rajas. What does this mean? With this, you have to go back and understand what is the mood which Arjuna is going through. See, this kind of exercise, this kind of analysis will sharpen your intellect, And when your intellect becomes more sharp, the way you deal with people will become very effective. So obviously, see, Arjuna was going through a lot of fluctuations in terms of moods. So at this point of time, obviously Arjuna was in a slightly calmer frame of mind. He was in the mood to listen. Therefore, Krishna is giving him a total picture. He is not straight away giving him the rajasic aspect. Actually, the rajasic aspect is what will appeal to Arjuna, because that was his level. So the right thing would have been if he had just told Rajas and then given Sattva, Sattva would have been a solution. But he doesn't do that. He first gives the Tamas, then he gives the Sattva, knowing very well that straight away Arjuna will not be able to practice it, because he has to understand what his problem is, no, first. And then only he comes to Rajas. He gives a total picture. So depending upon what the condition of the mind is for a student, and depending upon what the various fluctuations are, at what mood or what stage that fluctuation is, the master will communicate. So even before we get into the verse, these are all some of the psychological tips which you can get. So if you want to become an effective communicator, you first need to understand how the other person thinks. See, generally what we do is, we have no idea or we are not even bothered about the psychology and all that. Irrespective of whether that person is listening or not, or what that person, how that person thinks, we just are focused on offloading our information. I have seen in conversations sometimes what happens is, one person is just I would say it is blabbering only, even though the content may be right, it's still without context. So I've seen such thing. One person is just talking, and the other person is not understanding anything. He has a doubt. He says, 1 second, what did you say? You wait, I'll finish. Then you ask. That person has not understood anything of what he has said. He wants him to repeat, but he says, no, you wait. Because he is so, he himself is rajasic, so restless. He wants to offload all the information. Remember, in communication, 99% it's only psychology. 1% is only information. For us it is a reverse. 99% is information. You want to show off what all you know. 1% only is psychology. So you learn this. This is a very deep sadhana message actually. Because when you gain this clarity and when you become an effective communicator, what is happening? You are able to understand human minds better. Then you can apply it to your own mind also. If you are unable to communicate something to someone else, how will you be able to communicate it to your own mind? It means you don't have an in-depth understanding. A person who has a deep understanding of a subject will be able to communicate in simple terms. When the person is simple, he will be able to communicate in a technical way if that person is technical. You have to learn to adapt. The message will be the same, but you have to adapt it according to that particular person. And even if that one person is there, various moods he may go through. Sometimes a person is in a very tamasic mood. Sometimes a person is in a very rajasic mood. Sometimes a person is in a very highly sattvic mood. You will have to assess. For that, you will have to become sattvic. Only if you are sattvic, you can make all these assessments. If you yourself are highly rajasic or highly tamasic now, you will not understand what's happening. So, it's very interesting how Krishna is conforming the wisdom according to Arjuna's frame of mind. This is called beautiful packaging. Sometimes the product may be good, but if the packaging is bad, the person will not buy it. No. So, product also should be good. The packaging also should be good. That's what will attract a person initially. No. So, in our ancient wisdom, both are at the highest level. The message is top class. The highest which you can, the highest wisdom known to humanity is there. What about the packaging? So brilliantly packaged. See, if let us say if Lord Krishna were to be here right now, and instead of Arjuna, who is a warrior, he is talking to a computer expert. Now, do you think he will say weapons cannot leave it when he is talking about the soul? He will use some language which will appeal to the IT person. He may say, no virus can attack it. He will conform the wisdom according to that person's level and that person's nature. If we, supposing let's say Krishna were to talk to a cook who is cooking all the time, he may tell him fire will not burn it. That language a cook will be able to understand easily. So the message is one and the same, but you will have to use the right psychology in order to communicate it to the other person. If you don't know that, you just find out whether you always keep saying this. Nobody is understanding. Many a times I know people who say, I told him but he didn't understand. You didn't tell him in a way which he could understand. See, when you turn it like that, then you can sharpen your skills of communication. I am not saying you should take the blame all the time on yourself. That's not the spirit of it. The idea is to sharpen your communication skills. A yogi is a very powerful communicator, will be a powerful communicator. He will be extremely observant. Observant doesn't mean obviously doing it. Don't make a show of it. See, anything can be misunderstood. Another person is talking and you're constantly observing like this. If you do like that and all, then you'll get into problem. Basically, be alert, be aware, learn these tips and apply them in your life and see. You can apply this psychological tip directly in your relationships. There are people who are married for 40 years, 50 years and all that. Then they say, I am not able to understand her. I know one man who told me, I can understand so many other things, but I have not yet understood my wife. He says, what does that mean? It means you have not been observant. So, Krishna is adopting this method because since Arjuna is in a slightly relaxed mood now, he is willing to wait. So, Krishna is first talking about tamas, then the sattva, and finally he comes to rajas. But in our analysis here, we will take up the rajas first and then finally we will go to sattva, so that order is maintained. So, we will see what he is giving in the second line. Bhunjate te tu agham papaha. So, those impure ones, agham, they cook for the sake of themselves. Ye pachanti atma karanat What is it that they eat? Bhunjate. They eat papaha. So the translation we can put it like this, but those impure ones who cook for the sake of themselves eat sin. So when it comes to the parasparam principle, there is the giving and then there is a taking. Two aspects are there. Now when he is talking of bhunjate, it means enjoying, it means taking, philosophically, eating. So with respect to giving and taking, he is talking of whatever you receive, whatever you take. So when it came to stenaha, what did we see? The tamasic person, he only wants to take, he does not want to give at all. Now a rajasic person, I will first give you an overview and then when we go into the individual principles, it will be easy for you. A rajasic person, it is not that he wants only to take, he is willing to give also, he has an intention of giving also, but the accent is on taking. It is more business-like. His whole focus, that is why he uses the word Atma Karanat. Here Atman means self, that is not the higher self, he is talking of the individual. A layman's usage of the word Atman, he is referring to the physical body, the mind and intellect as Atman. Otherwise you will get confused. In the last session itself I mentioned to you, Atman literally means the supreme self. So isn't that a very high state? No, he is talking of the individual here. So a rajasic person, he says he cooks for the sake of himself. They cook for the sake of themselves. Means his main focus is his benefit only. So if there is something in it for him, he will get into the deal, otherwise he will not get into. It is exactly the give and take, they exactly match. He wants to keep it that way. Even he will not want to give even a little more. He will not give a little less also. That is why this is higher than tamasic. See, a tamasic person doesn't want to give at all. He just wants to take and go away. Whereas a rajasic person, he is okay to give, but only to the extent of taking. Life is like a set of rules for him. Business-like attitude, You give this and you take this and go. That is what is meant by Atma Karanat. One who is thinking only about his welfare. See, the same Atma Karanat, when it is a tamasic person, we will put that word only. One who is thinking only about his welfare. That is tamas. Here, the rajasic person also thinks of giving, but the accent is on one's welfare. That is, he is not thinking about his welfare at the cost of another person. A tamasic person thinks of his welfare at the cost of another person. That's where the big difference comes. Of course, when we come to the sattvic person, we'll see those are amazing principles, and if you practice them, they can really enrich your life. But first, we will see this. But I want you to see the subtle difference between tamas and rajas. Then only you will be able to understand sattva in a deeper way. So again, making it very simple, giving is there, taking is there in parasparam. A tamasic person wants only to take. A Rajasic person takes and gives. He gives only to the extent he has taken, nothing more. He gets disturbed even if it's a little more. Up to this he feels it's fair enough. So his accent is on his benefit. Even though he has not denied the other person, it is not at the cost of the other person, still the accent is on his benefit only. That is a Rajasic person. So he is calling such people as Agham. Agham means impure. We are translating it as impure. We will see the various dimensions, because that will help you to understand the principle in a more deep way. So what did he call a tamasic person as? Stenaha, thief. That is a very strong word. See, if you call someone a thief, you are actually defaming that person, you know. Whereas when it comes to Agham, it is not such a strong word. It means impure. What are the other dimensions? We'll see. But first, it means the person's mind is impure. Whereas when it comes to Sattva, he uses the word Sant. Santaha means those virtuous ones. So by giving these words like Stenaha, Agam and Santaha, he is deepening your understanding. See, if a person has all these qualities, this is what it is. It makes it very, very easy for you to do a self-analysis. How much of Stenaha aspect am I having? How much of a Agam aspect am I having? How much of a Santaha aspect am I having? So in that area, how much Tamasic, how much of Rajasic am I, how much Sattvic am I? It will become very easy for you to find out, and then you can do the sadhana and change all the Tamas and Rajas into Sattva. What a brilliant way of approaching this, you know. So, Agham means being impure. Agam also has another dimension. Agam means accident. What is the deeper implication of accident? I am comparing it with Stenaha. See, when we make that comparison, it becomes more easy. The moment we say when we use the word accident, the implication is a Rajasic, when it comes to a Rajasic person, we call it an error. It is not a mistake which a person is doing like the Tamasic person. It's not a wrongdoing, but it is an error. We can call error also as mistake only, but when we talk of Tamasic people, we say it is wrong, you know. Whereas here it is an error. See, errors can be rectified easily. Whereas when a person is doing something wrong, it becomes more difficult to change. Principally itself, a Tamasic person is wrong. Here, a Rajasic person is not totally away from the principle. He is giving and he is taking, but he is making an error in that. That there he requires some correction. So, when we take this dimension of accident, which means an error, what is the sadhana message which you get? Tamasic areas, wherever you are Tamasic, requires a lot of effort, probably force also. If you want to overcome tamas, you may have to use force. Whereas when it comes to rajasic areas, you don't need to apply force. Actually, if you apply force there, it will have the opposite effect. The person is already stressed. So, it is only an error. So, it requires some correction, that's all. So, that's why I am saying a master will not talk in the same way to everyone. Even right now, when this wisdom is being given, you will understand it according to your mind only. There is a lot of psychology which is being used here. Certain things which are told will appeal to the tamasic mind. Certain things which are told will appeal to the rajasic mind. Certain things which are told will appeal to the sattvic mind. Sometimes you may have observed the same thing will be repeated but in different ways. Why do I do that? Because the first way will appeal to a few people, the second way to certain others, third way to certain others. The idea is everybody will get the message, that is for sure. Everybody will get the wisdom. So, a tamasic person requires force, whereas a rajasic person requires correction. You're already practicing that principle, but you're practicing it in an imperfect way. Error means in an imperfect way. There in tamas, the person is not practicing the principle at all. He is doing the opposite. That is why if a tamasic person meets a master, either the master will keep quiet if he is not surrendered. But if he has surrendered, then he may be very harsh to him, or some forceful methods he will use. Whereas when a rajasic person comes to a master and surrenders, what he will do is he will guide him, he will correct him, because that is what he requires. He is already on the path, he is doing things in an imperfect way. So, the master will help him to do some fine tuning. It's a very subtle difference, but you need to understand that. Then when it comes to sattva, we will see that it will be very easy for you to understand sattva in comparison to tamas and rajas. So, agham means no doubt impure, but it also means a person who commits mistakes, who does things in an imperfect way. So, you can find out what are the, just as when we did the tamas, I told you, find out where all you are wanting to just take, all those we saw. Similarly, you can find out where all am I acting in an imperfect way. You do put an effort to do your duties, but you do it in a wrong way. Then that aspect is rajas. If you don't put in that effort at all to do your duty and you are doing something else, that is tamas. So, you can take it up as a homework. See, the homework, why am I giving you the homework? Those are the riders, I want you to see how this can be applied in your life. So, at least analysis wise you should first do. So, where am I having this rajasic approach? With respect, I have given you this dimension, I am putting in the effort, but I am not doing it in the right way. How will you know that? Because you are not getting the exact desired results. He is saying those impure ones who cook for the sake of themselves eat sin. Sin here means agitations. The person is stressed, agitated. What exactly is sin, we will see that later, but right now for your homework I am giving you. So, you take it as mental agitation. So, wherever you are stressed, it means there is a rajasic aspect there. Now rajas means you have errored, some error you are making. Find out what that error is. I am working in my office, I am really slogging it out, but I am not getting the desired results. It means there is some imperfect way in which you are working. Management is not wanting that. Find that out. Because the moment you become aware of it, you will start correcting. I am spending time with my family members, but they are not happy. There's a lot of quarrel and all that. It means your intention to spend time, that is the correct principle only. If you are not spending time with your family members at all, then that is tamasic. So I am spending time, but I am doing something in a wrong way. What is it? Because I am not getting the desired results. So let me find that out and correct it. You do this homework and see. You will be amazed, because there will be many areas where your intentions are right, but you are doing things in an imperfect way. Many a times people ask, no, I mean only good to others, but why is it that the problem is there? Parents especially, they have this complaint. I mean good for my child. Which parent will want something negative for the child? So the motives of the parents are good only. But my son is not listening. My daughter is not listening. So what does it mean? Your principle is right, but something is wrong with your application. You may not be using the right psychology. You are making an error in communication. A tamasic person will not communicate at all. Or if at all he communicates, he will just not be bothered about the other person. Here that is not the case. In rajas, your intention is okay only. But somewhere down the line, what is happening is this Atma Karanat, your focus or emphasis is shifting to yourself. My son, my child, he has to listen to me. So the moment the focus shifts to yourself, then that will lead to imperfection. So if supposing you are working in your office, something is wrong. Instead of finding out what is the mistake you are doing, somewhere down the line the focus will shift. I am working a lot, they are only not recognizing. So then you will not get the desired results. See, it is not, again I am putting a word of caution here. I am not saying any problem comes now start blaming yourself for that. That is not the spirit of this wisdom. What is being said is that for every problem, if you go within and correct certain things, do certain things in a particular way, you can get a solution. If a person is rude to you, instead of focusing on that person, now you focus on your reactions. What do I need to do so that that person stops being rude to me? This is a very important point. I want all of you to focus, because we are nearing the end of the discourse, but an important point has come up. So you maintain your focus. This situation is not something which I want. Instead of blaming that situation, ask yourself, what should I do so that I can get the desired results? That's all this wisdom is saying. It's not about blaming oneself, because many sadhaks go through this issue. Oh, if my partner misbehaves, I am only now responsible, is it? I am to be blamed, is it? It's not that. If you want a solution, you have to go within. Otherwise, you will only be externally struggling. See, supposing you have to work with someone, your colleague, it is a necessity. Both of you are a part of the same team. But you are saying something and that person is not able to understand. Let's take it as that person's understanding capacity is low only, because that's what you'll say. For argument's sake, let's keep it like that. But you have no choice. You have to work together. So what is a practical way of going about it? Sattvic way. Now, instead of simply saying that that person is not understanding, next question is, how should I communicate so that he will begin to understand? What is the psychology I should use? The moment you turn the focus inward, you will start getting solutions. That doesn't mean now you're blaming yourself. See, when it is said that all the problems are caused by you, that is your life problem, that doesn't mean you are the actual cause of all the problems. It only means you have not discovered the solutions from within, due to which the problems are remaining. So look for solutions in life. So you can do this small homework and come back, find out various areas in your life where your intention is good, you want to do good only, you're getting into it, but somehow you're not getting the desired results. It means agam. There is some error. You're doing things but not in a perfect way. Find out what it is. Don't lose your focus and start blaming the other person. That person is like that only. The situation is like that only. What are you going to do about it? So will you practice this and come? Because if you practice that and come, then if we go into further depth, you will be able to absorb it more. As I told you, Vian, these sessions are not for merely giving you the scholastic knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. That is also included, but that's not the main purpose. The main purpose is how do you make your life better? Otherwise, why should you study all this? Tell me. Just to go and make a show to others saying that I also know the Bhagavad Gita. There's no meaning in that. So whenever these homeworks are given, take it up sincerely and practice it. Okay? So now we'll do the Nididhyasana meditation. Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. With every breath, I am becoming more and more relaxed. Feel the divine vibrations With every breath, I am going deeper and deeper into myself. Beyond my physical body, beyond my pranas, beyond my emotions and thoughts, lies my real self. My higher self is infinite and divine. From this moment onwards, I choose to become very observant in my life. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Slowly come back, wriggle your fingers, your toes, open and close your palms a few times, rub your palms together to create a warmth. And cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, your cheeks, forehead, the top of your head, the back of your head, your neck, and slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. So we had an interesting session today where deep principles of psychology were given to you, practical principles. See, sadhana is actually very practical. When you approach it in a wrong way only, it gets complicated. The Bhagavad Gita is very simple and straightforward. When you don't understand something, then it becomes complicated. It can lead to confusions. So, reflect on these points which were given to you, practice them in your life and see. When something works, when you're practicing and when something works, that confidence which you will get will be tremendous. And it will also give you that extra motivation to do more sadhana. Okay? So tomorrow we are starting the Yoga Sankirtan empowerment for this year. It's going to be a very powerful course. I've been preparing you and through the Nididhyasana meditations, the preparation has been on. And then from the moment you have registered, from that moment a lot of healing you would have received, because the commitment is required. Unless you commit, there is no point in sending the preparatory healing and all that, because this is too sacred. You can't have a doubting mind or a wavering mind. It will not work. Again, it is parasparam only. There has to be a give and take. Only then the benefits will be maximum. So your commitment is what you should give. So many sadhaks have already sent messages that they're able to feel the preparatory healing energy, due to which their personal sadhanas, the meditations which they're doing, has become more intensified, which is very good. So for the next full week, it's going to be a tremendous blast of energy. The theme is Become Divine. Various facets are going to be given to you, and powerful empowerments. And the speciality of this year's Yoga Sankirtan is that for the first time, the empowerment is going to be given for Shri Hanumat Dhyana. When it was released itself, people said the energy was very high. Now in the empowerment, it's going to be a complete blast of energy. So attend that and benefit fully. For this 1 week, you don't need to do any other sadhana. Okay? So thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow first for the Yoga Sankirtan empowerment, and then next Sunday we'll be continuing with the Bhagavad Gita sessions. Hari Om. Thank you.